You're listening to the Becoming More Me podcast with me, Theresa Lear Levine. You're already enough. But if you're anything like me, you thrive when you're stretching and developing yourself, creating more of the person you feel called to be. This podcast is here to inspire and support you. Let's release the negative, reinforce the positive, and elevate our vibe together as we tap into our limitless potential to transform and grow. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Becoming More Me. I'm excited because today I have a guest, Hayley Jones, joining me from across the pond. And we are going to talk about her awesome business, Moonphase Studios, of which I became a fan of not too long ago when I purchased the lovely backdrop. If you watch the video versions of things that I produce, you've seen that the backdrop in my office has recently changed to a gorgeous moon calendar for 2023. And it is created by Hayley. So, I was introduced to her work, and I know it was undoubtedly through the magic of marketing and social media ads and things like that, but I fell in love with it immediately. And, it's just this gorgeous representation of all the phases of the moon throughout the year, the astrological signs, and so much more. It is super in-depth, and just it's created with an intention of helping you to align with the power of the cosmos and really celebrate the power of it all. I got one for me, I got one for my niece, I got one for my mom. It was just like the perfect gift around the holidays. And again, currently the backdrop in my office, but I was so impressed with not just the product, but also Hayley's marketing that I reached out to her about a month ago and asked her if she'd have a chat with me. And I guess that's just one of the perks of being a podcast host, is allowing myself to have whims like that and just follow through with them and being so thrilled when the person agrees to come on the show and have a conversation together. So other than that, I don't know a whole lot about Hayley. I just know that I love her art, her organization, and that she loves encouraging women to reconnect and grow and thrive with the moon as their guide. So let's jump into this and we'll get to know Hayley together. Thanks for being here today with me, Hayley.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm thrilled.
Yeah, I'm excited to have a chat. So I'd love to start by learning a little bit about you. Where are you from? Where do you live now? What's your family dynamic like? Fill us in.
Okay, so I'm from a tiny little town in the middle of England, which is probably as far away from the coast as you can get within Britain. So that was Wickham, as it's where people go. So it's got beaches, nature. So I've been here for about 10 years now. I met my husband here and we've got a couple of kids. And yeah, I've completely jumped ship from my suburban upbringing into something a lot more natural and surrounded by nature, which is amazing.
That's wonderful. How old are your kids?
I've got two girls. They've actually both just had a birthday, and so they are now 4 and 6. And they're great. They're best friends. Things are getting a little easier as they get a little older. And yeah, I'm enjoying their company very much.
I can understand that. My youngest is turning 6 this coming weekend. So we've got a couple that are right around the same age. And I know your calendar not only takes care of, all the moon phases and such, but also astrological signs. What's your astrological sign?
Well, my sun sign is a Scorpio, which I feel feels really sort of dark and kind of intense. And I feel like I'm a bit more of a lighthearted, free spirit. I'm definitely more into I'm a summer vibe kid, really. So yeah, I am a Scorpio, which a lot of people agree with if you know me really well. But yeah, I'm a sunny Scorpio.
Gotcha. And obviously you enjoy doing artwork and running your business. Do you have any other interesting hobbies or things that you enjoy doing with your time?
Oh, there's just so little time left, which is annoying. I've got this dream that I'm going to be, I know, there's just so much. I mean, I'm very, very lucky that I get to be creative for my job, which is an amazing blessing. And then there's that tiny smidge where you kind of wish it didn't have the deadlines and the time constraints and all the other pressures that go with it. But overall, you can't help but appreciate how amazing it is to be doing your artwork for a business. But I have a goal, which is I'm going to become a potter one day, having never, ever tried pottery in my life, that I just look at people doing it and I think that is so me.
I grew up
I'm
around
working
pottery.
towards
My
these
mom,
little.
yep, sorry, I didn't mean
Did
to cut you off.
you?
My mom has been a
No.
potter ever since I've been alive. So she's in her 70s now, and she's been doing it since her early 20s. And she's
Oh,
absolutely
mate, I bet you've
amazing.
got some
She's
great crockery around your house.
There was so much pottery. There was so much dust. There was so much dirt. It was, but it was amazing. And
I think that
I
would suit me fine.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was fun. I think I took it for granted though, because I was immersed in it and it was always around me. So, but it's great because whenever I need something for my kitchen or whatever else, or a special, something to decorate some area of my house, I'm like, Mom, can you make me a vase? Or can you make me like something to hold my utensils in the
Oh,
kitchen, or something beautiful to put on my windowsill or whatever? And she'll make it for me. And it's always just so good because she made it, and she makes the most amazing like mugs and things that are awesome, with like really cool like handles that are like spirits and things like that. she's
useful.
she's awesome.
Oh, incredible. The fusion of making something beautiful has also got a use and it's practical. I love that. I think, yeah, so it's not a
Yes,
current hobby, but an aspirational hobby that one day my life will have a tiny slice of time where I can immerse myself in doing that. And it will just be for me and I don't have to, worry about selling it. It'll just be for me.
I'm sure whatever you end up creating will be absolutely amazing. So what kind of like background do you have, whether it's art, astrology, even maths? Because like the layout of your calendar is like no small undertaking, the way that it's engineered. Like, what's your upbringing and how did you get into this whole passion of creating this?
So I did a degree in fashion design a long time ago, and I never ventured into the fashion world as a working career. I did a lot of other things before that, but I think that's where my illustration, figure drawing, a lot of the fine art background sort of came from that degree. It sort of got put on the back burner a lot when I did a lot of other things in my 20s, and I traveled a lot. And then the calendar that you're referring to was sort of a fusion of inspiration from being on my travels. There's a Australian astrologer who uses the wheel format for the moons, but then he has a very different structure inside. And so I got in touch and I said, I love this. And I've got my own adaptation of it where I've replaced a lot of the information with artwork. And he gave it the go ahead. And he was like, yeah, that's great. Can I be inspired by some of your art for me to put on my future ones? And I was like, yeah, of course you can. So we've got a great understanding, which is brilliant. Yeah, so the artist side of things has been like a trickling along hobby for a number of years, other than the degree I did a long time ago. But yeah, no real formal training on stuff. There's definitely a few mistakes and learning along the way and figuring it out.
How long does it take you to like, how long did it take you to lay that out and figure out like what was going to go where and how you were going to make it all come together?
Uh, Months, literally months. When it's almost like as soon as I've finished one, I start to think about what the next one will look like. So when it comes to sort of September, October, and this one is selling, I can already have a vision of maybe I've got too used to looking to one color. I've got an idea of what the next one might be in terms of the background.
Yeah.
And then I start to figure out what will have the most focus. Will it be the star sign illustration? Sometimes they're a lot more simple and they're like little line drawings and there's more focus on the background. But yeah, I need to give myself months, a good solid 3 months of sort of artwork, and then all the digital touch-ups afterwards.
Yeah. I think part of what I really enjoyed when I discovered your business was seeing how, and I know I'm going to say it's simple and that makes it seem discounted, and that's not my intention at all, but how simple it was in like the fact that you have like pretty much one main thing. I know you also have like a planting calendar or something that has to do with like planting and harvesting. But there was so little to choose from. It made decision making very easy. And it just seemed so simple by design, at least. Like, because I know as an entrepreneur, I've struggled with like offering too many things or not having things streamlined enough or whatever. And I was like, this girl's got it figured out. She's got like one big thing to offer here. And that just makes, either take it or you leave it. And then I was just so increasingly impressed once, I became a customer at your marketing even past that point, because your newsletters every week are amazing and they're full of such valuable content and I really enjoy receiving them.
Oh, that's great to hear. At least someone's reading them. That's brilliant. Thank you.
I send newsletters too. I know how it feels. It's like, are people actually eating this up, or
Yeah.
like, am I just writing a
That's
letter to
great.
myself?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of, and I think that you're similar on this, that when it comes to marketing, if you feel like it's coming from you and you're talking directly to someone, there's a chance that people are going to connect with it a lot better. And I don't really like the idea of just sending emails for the sake of it and hoping that someone might buy something at the end. I mean, like you've just pointed out, I've got one main seller, I've got one main thing. So really, a lot of the content I'm sending out during the year just needs to be informative to keep people engaged and hopefully keep them interested enough to open the emails so that when it comes back round, hopefully I've got their loyalty there then, which means I don't have to use the big advertising guys to try and catch my net to find those same people again. And it works, and it's almost part of the same creative outlet for me in terms of it's got a bit of creative writing, and because it comes straight from the heart, what I'm talking about, it's quite often about my life at that moment and how that might fit in with the seasons or how it might fit in astrologically with what's going on. It comes quite naturally, which is great.
That's awesome. How long has Moon Phase Studios been a business for you?
So it has been going, this is probably my third proper calendar in terms of launching it out to the world, especially in the US. That's the third one. So there was a dark blue one before that in 22, and then there was a hot pink one before that in 2020. And it all came off the back of COVID. And my husband and I had set up a business in the events trade. We'd bought massive, great big, huge teepees that were going to be marquees for weddings, nice alternative for a marquee, could fit a few hundred people in them. And we spent all our time and money in 2019 getting all of our brides and grooms ready for all their weddings in 2020. I'd just had my second baby, so was absolutely desperate to go back to work, to a job I didn't have because I'd left it. But it was okay because the marquee TP business was going to give me that job. And then obviously COVID hit, and then there was nothing there. We were too young a business to get any financial help. All the bride and grooms were great and just said, we'll have it next year, please. And then it left us going, well, how do we try and get some funds together, beg my pardon, with a 2-year-old and a baby? And I thought, well, I have always done my moon calendars as a hobby. I did a bit on Etsy, but nothing really formative. So it was almost like those things all lined up for me to go, right, let's just absolutely go for it. So that was the first year that I put some sort of real muscle and money behind marketing it and putting it out there. And lo and behold, it's worked really well. In fact, we've just sold our TP business, realizing that that's really hard work. And now my husband is working on this business, which is going really well. So, it's that's a funny old world, isn't it? Yeah,
that's amazing. So 3 full years of doing that. And it's funny because it always seems like it takes something, whether it's, a business going sour, a pandemic, whatever, to really like push us to do that thing that's like, wanting to be birthed inside of us and get it out there, that little extra push. So it's probably a wonderful blessing in disguise that everything kind of came together, even though it was probably really chaotic and felt awful at the time.
Totally. So we thought at first we would have a business that would be busy in the summer with the wedding business, and this would be busy in the winter. But it just meant we were both busy permanently because they don't stop. Both the things that just stop. It would just be all the time. The artwork would have to happen in between me going to go see clients for weddings. So yeah, it does feel like we've come full circle. And funny enough, this is the one that we've both got our passions set for now, which is great.
So what brought about your interest in the moon, with that being the focus of the calendar?
Oh, I think that was probably Australia as well. I think it was, like I said, the small suburban upbringing in Wolverhampton in the middle of Britain, where there's a lot of light pollution and it's quite flat, so you probably don't see hills and mountains, or you don't have that perspective for the sunset and the sunrise and things like that. And I think going from there to my degree, which was again in a big city, when I did some traveling and spent a lot of time in rural places in Australia, it just completely opened my eyes to paying attention to the rhythms of nature and sunrise and sunsets, and seeing the moon, the spectacular moon that you can just stare at without having sunglasses on and just bask by watching her, which is amazing. So it was definitely Australia that was the trigger to realize I've not been paying attention to this in my life up until now. It's just sort of been there and I've taken it for granted. So yeah, it was definitely the transition in Australia. And again, it was the Australian astrologer who had his moon calendar over there that sort of obviously set some seeds all those years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you wish that everybody knew about the moon and its phases that maybe they don't?
Oh my goodness, that is a good one. I think there's something really powerful and unnoticed around the moon and menstrual cycles. I mean,
Mhm.
there's murmurings of it there. You know, we all sort of know that there's some connection in the timing, but I don't think people are necessarily using it or utilizing it enough to really feel that they're a cyclical being and the moon is there to act as a guide for that. Then, secondly, I also think. Just generally from cyclical living, the idea is that you allow yourself these moments to rest and withdraw in that dark phases of the moon. And I know that that's really helpful for me, who's busy, working mum, doing her things, and then to know actually it's a new moon tomorrow. I'm going to give myself some time out. So that's going to be an empty calendar day. That's going to be a bath and a rest, and then likewise building up to the full moon where I might need to put a bit more gusto into stuff, but allowing yourself those moments of rest and reflection in order to sort of repair yourself, refresh your ideas. Some of the best ideas, I think, come then as well.
Yes.
Setting those intentions, that's great, and I think that that's not something that everyone does, and it's not always something that you do every single time to its fullest degree. But incorporating more of that into your life, I think, is great, and I think it helps making sure you don't burn out. I mean, I used to just work permanently and then be like, no, I can't get ill because I've got too much to do.
Yes.
Whereas actually giving yourself a day off before you're sick, or not just to go and do something full powered and intense fun with the kids as a day off is great. And I think we all need it. More
Absolutely.
rest days. That's what I'm after. That's what I'm championing.
Yes, I totally agree. I have gotten so much better in more recent years at that intentional time to just, have the downtime and everything else. But I haven't gotten as intentional as I would like around doing it around the moon or my menstrual cycle. And that's actually something that I'm really interested in implementing more of this year. Like as I do my calendaring for the month and stuff, to be thinking about that, not just, the days that I, could have off or whatever and how they align with everything else. Do you have any tips for, that or anything else?
Well, no, I don't. But funnily enough, one of the other things that I'm now working on is a journal in the hope that it would be easier to either plan or document your experiences
Yeah.
in living with the moon. And the idea from this journal, which unfortunately won't help you this year because it's not going to be ready
That's
until
okay.
next year.
You already have the
But the
wisdom inside,
idea,
so you can share a little bit of it.
yeah, yeah, it has to start somewhere. Has to start somewhere. Is that we will have quite a unique diary in the fact that it will work from new moon to next new moon. So it will
Okay.
start in December of this year, and it will bridge all the way over the 13 moon cycles. And we're so used to that Monday to Sunday academic format for everything. It's the only way we've ever known. So that's just what we do. Whereas this is going to sort of not put any focus on what day it is in terms of the days of the week, but it will go from new moon and take you all the way through the phases to the next new moon. So hopefully you can sort of balance your planning and your journal entries, for example, around something more cyclical. You can drop your work academic stuff in there too if you want to jot those down, but essentially it would be a diary that focuses more on the moon's phases and pays attention to those primarily.
I love
So I'm
that.
hoping that will help with people who want to sort of track their menstrual cycle in order to link it up to the phases of the moon. They've got somewhere to make those notes and realize I'm always sluggish. Or I'm always snappy 3 days before, and I'm not going to plan those events for that day. And I'm actually going to, when I get my massage, maybe I'll do that around the dark moon because I'm going to be probably a bit more withdrawn and up for relaxing, and plan those social things for the full moon when I'm feeling brighter. So yeah, it will be a big project, but I'm hoping it will be a way to try and encourage getting more cyclical living into everyone's lives.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to that. And yeah,
Cool.
will you do
I'll
it so
keep
that
you
it kind of
posted.
like matches with the calendar for the year and stuff, or will it have a totally different look to it?
Yeah, I think it will have to have some kind of, like, it'll be like the cute little sister, I think, that will hopefully sit in front. And I'm hoping it doesn't mean that people decide they'll go for that instead of the calendar. And hopefully people who are really loyal to the calendar. And I've got some people who are still with me from when I used to just sell them on Etsy years and years ago. Um, I want to be able to make it so you can have both. You can still have your art piece on the wall and you can see what moon phase it is at a glance, but then you've got your own journal where you can really delve deep and let your
Yeah.
heart sprawl out the pages should you want to. But yes, they'll definitely have some design front that means that they'll work as a team together.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll be a beautiful complement to each other. And I know one of your other thing that you have is, what do you call it? Is like a harvesting. What do you call the other piece of artwork that you have that's about planting and
Oh, the
harvesting?
lunar planting guide.
Lunar
Yeah,
planting
so
guide. Thank you.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
So are you big into planting and harvesting, or do you have a big garden or anything like that?
I wish I had a big garden. Unfortunately, we don't. We've got a very, very small back outside area. But yes, the idea is, I mean, I did used to before kids, and when I used to rent a great property that used to have a lovely big garden, I was far more green fingered. But yeah, I think it's a bit like the pottery. It's an aspirational thing that's in there.
Yeah.
And I'm just waiting my time until it's okay that I can get back into having the right space to do that more. Um, but yeah, lunar planting is another one. That's another one that I sort of got into in Australia, and I love the organizational that rather than feeling overwhelmed by just chucking a load of seeds in the ground and hoping for the best, this sort of allows you to stagger the process and encourage the yields to come along with the power of the moon. And it's beautiful. It's nice. It's a great way to organize yourself and feel like it's in tune with the moon.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you have any visibility in the UK to the green comet that you can see right now?
Not as good. No, not amazing. A bit, but
Okay.
nothing spectacular. What about you?
Oh yeah, it's almost like seeing an airplane in the sky where I am. Like it's I really thought at first I
Oh,
was like it's not
wow.
moving, but it was I mean it's so bright and like flickery and you can kind of see the greenness at the edges of it.
Incredible.
It's amazing. So yeah, my husband's been obsessed with like going
Wow.
out every night to see if we could see it. And it was so cloudy here for so many of the nights that they said were going to be the best for seeing it. And he's like, I'm gonna have to wait another 50,000 years to see it. I'm like, oh, not gonna happen. But then finally things cleared up and we got to see it. So yeah, it's been pretty cool.
Oh wow, what a thrill. I bet that's amazing. No, we haven't got anything that spectacular, I'm afraid, here.
Okay.
But yeah, that sounds incredible.
Yeah. Do you have any favorite like moon rituals?
Um, I suppose my ultimate one that is the the thing that I go to, which is having to try and find creative content, which is it's not a struggle, but it's a constant ask, is trying to find something that you're going to create that will be new. So I do tend to ruminate in the new moon of what it is that I want to achieve. And I sort of put my work out there. I light my candles. I'll have some meditative moments on my own. And
Yeah.
this is all about sort of asking for these ideas to come. It's sort of willing the visions. And then when it comes around to the full moon, I tend to take a bath. And then when I take my bath with my amazing bath salts and my tea lights and all my sort of self-care routine that I do tend to take in a handy little towel and a notebook and a pencil. And then I'll just lay there in the bath and wait for these ideas to come to me. And then they normally come out in wet little blobs on the ideas that I'm getting down. So I don't know if that's really your typical moon ritual, but that's the one that I go to as my inspiration process and using the moon in what I do.
That's a great thing to use the moon to work along with your inspiration and everything else. And there's got to be a more convenient way for the inspiration to be recorded when you're in the tub. I have the same thing happen. And I'm like, I don't know whether to like reach for my phone and try to do a voice recording or to try to write it down and get it wet or what. There's got to be some better way.
Yeah, it needs to be some sort of like bath-proof app. But there is, I swear, there must be something about the connection with the water, and there must be something about your body temperature and how relaxed you get. But I think it's a very sort sort of visionary time, if you allow yourself to be still in that moment, then yeah, it can be a great time for ideas to jump out at you.
Well, it always happens to me in the shower too. So, but I think it's just separate, like it's this separate little
Yeah,
room, the shower, where like nothing else is
yeah,
happening other than me and my thoughts. Nobody's interrupting me
yep,
normally, unless my kids hop in with me or something. But it's just my
yeah.
time to like think and be, and the mind goes all sorts of places. And I guess the tub is very similar in that way. But yeah, that'd be interesting. I'll bet there's some studies
It
out
is,
there
it
about
is.
creativity and water, but for another day.
Yeah.
So
Maybe we just need little waterproof little white notepads in the like tiles that we can be jotting ideas on or something.
yes.
Get it jotted down while we do the shower.
Be
Waterproof,
writing all
like a
over the
doodle
walls of the shower or
for
the side of the
divers.
tub or whatever else.
Yeah.
Yep. But it's a great place to get creative. I completely agree. What's the best place for people to find out more about what you do or to check out these awesome calendars that you have?
Oh, okay. So the website would be the best one, which for you guys would be moonphasestudios.com. So
Okay.
we have our own US site. And then if you sign up there, you will get the newsletters, which they come out every new moon and full moon. And in those, we try and give you a little teaser of what's happening astrologically at that time. And you can hop from those to the blog and find out other bits and bobs and social media. But yeah, that's probably your best call. I'm hoping to be able to put a bit more effort and love into the US offering at the minute. I'm kind of somewhat jaded by the being a Brit abroad and selling, which means legally I've got some other things that I sell on my UK store, which I'm not allowed to do yet. So hopefully this is the year for me, and I'll be able to share the other little products that I've made, which
Okay.
would be ideal.
I didn't even think about that as a business owner overseas, what the differences might be. Is it that you
Yeah,
can't sell certain things to the US or it's too difficult to ship or what kind of things come up?
it's so the two prints that I sell, so the moon calendar being the main one and the lunar planting guide that you've mentioned, I can send that over as a digital file, and then someone can print those. That's okay. What I can't
Gotcha.
do is buy other stuff off other people. I need a reseller's license for that. And then again, with import and export, there's a lot more red tape, should we say, that needs to be done. But I'm going through the correct processes to do it. So yeah, I think it's just a matter of waiting for the paperwork to catch up, to be able to share more stuff with you, essentially.
Well, that's exciting. Yeah, hadn't thought about that. Everything
Yeah,
I've sold has
yeah,
always been a virtual
yeah.
digital
What
kind
else?
of
I mean,
thing.
yeah, I think it's essentially because it's I don't know. I don't really know why. I can buy the paper, but I can't buy other stuff to sell. So yes, it's just waiting for a bit of the other paperwork to be ticked off. I mean, one thing I do sell on the website is a book, and the book is great if you really want to learn more because it goes into so much detail, more so than I can do in the website, really.
Mhm.
And so when people really want to know more, and how can I tune, and what is my moon sign, and how does that link to my star sign, and what, all the things that you would need to know, then the book's brilliant. But yes, so that's the first one. As soon as I get my reseller's license, I can stock up on books and share them with you all.
Awesome. I look forward to that. Yeah, I love just having this reminder here, that I mean, even when I'm looking at you at the camera, I'm seeing it in my background. I see it all day long. And it's such a good reminder of the cosmic connection and the power of the moon and all the ways that it's helping us to co-create. I do a lot of work with people's emotions and energy and everything else. And I am a big fan of, I believe it was Mark Twain that said, everyone is a moon and has a dark side, which he never shows to anybody. And I do a lot of, shadow type work with a lot of my clients and things. And it's a great reminder. And I love having it here. And I love having this conversation with you and knowing that now when I look at it, I get to see a little bit more of you in it too, because we've connected even more
Amazing.
so. Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's so lovely to see the output of what you're doing in the marketing world, knowing that you've got some customers in the US that are buying them, but now like to see and hear from you that it resonates with you so well, and seeing it up in your little sacred space above your crystals and stuff. It's magical. It's really great. It's one of the real perks of the job. So thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for being here today. And I can't tell you how many people ask me every time that I'm on a Zoom call or whatever, what is that beautiful thing in the background in your office? And I'm like, Ellie Jones, go to Moonface Studios.
Oh,
Got to check it out.
oh,
So
amazing.
hopefully there's some customers coming your way as well. And I hope everyone
Then
goes
that's
checks it
thank you.
out.
Well, thank you for them.
Yes, and there's still plenty more time to enjoy the 2023 calendar. And it sounds like, when will the 2024 one launch?
I tend to launch that in September. So I will be working on the journal and the calendar. So I've got my amazing assistant, Anna, this year. So it's just been me previously, but to be able to get all the design work, we've got a little team of 2 of us. And when we get into our new studio, I'm hoping to be able to share more of the design process so that everyone can sort of witness the journey of those things being made this year. And then, yeah, around August to September, then that's when they'll launch. I think I may launch a Kickstarter for the journal, so be able to get the journal, because it's the first ever one, and it's like a big baby that I'm birthing, going out into the world. So yeah, details of the Kickstarter will probably come out sooner, so they'll probably be late spring.
That's exciting. I'll be excited to follow and see what's coming out through your website, and also to hear from you about how things are going, like business-wise, with all the different steps along the way. So thank you so much for being here and sharing with us today, Hayley.
No worries, my pleasure.
Thanks so much for listening. If you loved this episode, please share it with a friend or post on social media and tag me so I can personally connect and thank you. Until next time, keep taking bold and brave action steps towards becoming more of who you want to be in this world. You are capable, you are worthy, and you are enough. Keep shining your light.